Welcome, brother, to the Elite Game. Today, we're going to talk about the 4 things you can do right now, not in theory, but practical steps you can do now so you can start rebuilding your marriage. You ready? We're going to start with the number 1 question, which is this, and you probably heard this from the wife. Honey, I feel like you don't see me. I feel neglected. Have you ever heard about this from your wife? Maybe. And why would she feel like that? Let me take you back in memory lane. When was the last time we went out on a date with your wife, man? When was the last time? Or how frequent are your dates? Because that's the number 1 thing you can implement right now. You can do it today, which is date your wife. Date your wife. If there is one thing that I would tell you to frequently do in a marriage in order to maintain that level of warmness, of intimacy, of touch, of sex, is date your wife. Date your wife every week. And why every week? Because it's maintenance. Do you do maintenance to your house, to your car, to your appliances, to everything that needs to work? It needs maintenance. Marriage is the same way, man. You know this stuff. You know this stuff. So dating the wife doesn't have to be complicated. Like coming up with dates doesn't have to be complicated. There doesn't need to be this huge, complex plan. It doesn't need to be that. Once in a while, it's cool to do something a little more elaborate, but it can be something simple, bro. It can be something simple. And if you have no ideas whatsoever, none, if your mind is blank, I'll tell you what, Google romantic date ideas, and you're going to have about 1,000 of them. You got that one? Okay, then we'll go to thing number 2, the tip number 2 that I can give you today so you can start improving your marriage today. And the stuff works, man. It's up to you if you want to implement it or not. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying the video, click that like button, throw a comment in there, and subscribe to the channel. Number 2, so maybe you've taken your wife for granted. Maybe you've heard also this from her. My emotional needs are not met. And you ask yourself, what the fuck does this mean? Your emotional needs are not met? Like, what does this mean? Because I had to study this stuff. Like I didn't know what that meant. Like I heard the words, but I didn't know what it meant, emotional needs. So what are those? And I'm going to tell you that when you do things for your wife as showing that you love her, as a proof of your commitment to the relationship, which you have to. I mean, if you're married, I'm assuming you do some kind of things. I'm assuming you do some stuff, right? But when you go and you give your love to your wife, like the way she receives it, it might necessarily be the same way. It might be in a different way. Check this out. If I like to be loved with a physical touch, with hugs, with sex, with kisses, with physical touch, right? If I feel love like this, then probably I'm going to give love like this. But here's where the situation happens. Check this out. Sometimes the partner that we have, they do not give love the same way that they like to receive it, or the way they receive love, it's not the same that you receive love. Do you understand? The way your wife receives love, it might be through kindness, acts of kindness, things that you do around the house for her, maybe. It can be quality time that you spend together, man. Conversating, talking, just connecting like that. It may not be yours, but what is her way of feeling loved? Because that's what you can do as tip number 2. Figure out what her love language is and start loving her like that. 5 love languages. That's a great book that you can get at Amazon or whatever store. It explains this whole process of giving and receiving love that sometimes we think that we're doing a good job when we're not. Because people receive and give love in different ways, man. So go buy that book and read it. Tip number 3, something that you can do today so we can start rebuilding your marriage. And tip number 3 is learn how to communicate. Listen to me here, okay? I'm talking about communicate your feelings, bro. Yeah, but I don't know how to do that, and I'm not comfortable, and it's hard for me, I'm a guy, I wasn't trained to do that, blah, 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 blah. Here's the bottom line, okay? Do you want to reconnect with the wife or not? If you do, this is a must. Like, you need to be able to communicate how you feel, man. Because if you don't, guess what happens? She's not going to guess what's going on in here. She's not going to guess what's going on in here. She's not going to guess. So if you talk to her, if you communicate, and it doesn't need to be in a weak way. It doesn't need to be in a bitch way. You speak about how you feel in your masculine energy. That's how you do it. You don't whine about it. You just speak, communicate. And what are some things that you can do in order to learn how to communicate your feelings? Well, first, you have to know what your feelings are. And that involves just stopping, brother. Just stopping and, figuring out a situation that makes you upset, makes you angry, or you're sad or whatever. And you just stop. And you just write shit down. Like, hey, man, how am I feeling right now? I feel like this, like this, like this. It's like a muscle. Like, you train yourself to figure out exactly what kind of emotions are you feeling. This is the type of work men don't like to do. Men do not like to do this type of work because they're fucking stupid, retarded, lazy. They don't understand that if you are able to speak about your emotions and connect like this, you're going to deepen the relationship with your wife. If that's what you want, that's what you will do. Got it? Tip number 4, brother. Collision. Collision inside a marriage. And collision inside a marriage is a must, brother. Why are some men afraid to collide with a wife? Are you scared of your wife? Are you scared of her? Is that what it is? When is it a problem to communicate what we want? When is it a problem to talk about, listen, I think that is wrong and this is right. Let's talk about this. Well, again, it doesn't need to be in a bitch weak way. Like, I believe that sometimes as men, we don't talk about certain things because we're going to think they're going to come out weak. Well, here's the problem. When you do undress situations, they stay there and they start to infest and stink and infect the whole marriage. Like, they need to be resolved. So how do you resolve shit? By talking about it. That's how you resolve things. And if you don't know how to speak, how to communicate your intentions, your thoughts, your feelings, then you are fucked. And you can't give this to her. So being afraid to collide, it needs to go away. It needs to go away. Through collision, there's rebirth. I'm not talking about collision that you get up like on the table with a baseball bat and you start demanding order and you start breaking shit or you start acting like an asshole. Collision is when you come from a place that you want to resolve things in a place of good energy or power and lead the conversation that way. And she will trust you when you start doing this, brother. She will. Well, how do I know this? Because that's how I live my life now. So I know this shit works. And here you go. You got 4 tips now that you can use today. So you can rebuild your marriage. Now it's up to you. These things work, bro. I implemented them. Thousands of men implemented them. This course that I offer in getting a marriage to a point that your heart is on fire and affects everything about your life, it just levels you up, is something that works. And it's something that men need to realize that their marriage will either elevate you and keep elevating you, or it will break you down, or it keep you where you are. Where is your marriage right now? Where is it? Do you need these tips? If not, man, you're probably like the 1%. And I salute you for that. But most of you need these tips and much more. So look, go implement them. And I'll be here if you have any questions, okay? Talk soon.